Video, we're going to create a character that's going to fall down and land on our ground we made in the last episode. So right now we need to open up Microsoft Paint and create a character sprite for us. So hit the Windows key and type Paint, open up the Paint program. We're going to hold down Control and scroll the mouse wheel so we can zoom in on our character sprite. We have to. I'm just going to make a quick stick figure here. Let's see. I'll use the oval for a head. Then I'll make a body, a torso, and some legs. Let's see. Some legs here, and then some hands. Then I'm going to save this in somewhere where I know where it is so I can find it when I open up Visual Studio. Let me see something. I'll put it right here. I'll call it stickfigure.png. And yes, I do want to replace it. Okay, you can shut that down now and press your Windows key and then type Visual Studio 2013 and hit enter. That should load up Visual Studio for us. I already have mine loaded up. This is actually the last project from part 8 of this series of videos. So what we want to do first is import our sprite into our stickman into our project. So right click on content, go to add existing item. In the lower right hand corner, click on the drop down box and go to image files. And then we have to navigate to where we saved our sprite. Let's see. Right here. Click on the stick figure PNG and click add. And then we can right click on it and click properties and make sure it says copy to, let's see, copy always or copy with newer. Let's do that one. Okay, so now that we have our stick figure loaded in, we need to create some variables for it to hold its position. So let's create a texture 2D, and this will hold that picture. Let's call it Stickman texture. Now we need a variable for his position. So it'll be private, and it'll be a vector. It'll hold an X and a Y, and we'll say Stickman position. And then we need one rectangle for collision detection to see when it actually hits the ground. So it's going to be a rectangle, and we'll call it Stickman bounding rectangle. Oops, let's see, rectangle. Okay. Okay, now let's go down to our load content, and right after the for loop, we're going to say stick man texture equals or becomes content dot load texture 2D. And then we just have to put the name of the file in here, stick figure. We named it. And then we need a semicolon after that. Okay. Now what we need to do is initialize our bounding rectangle and our position. So let's do our position first. Let's see, stick man position. So this is going to become a new vector 2 object. And let's make this 150 by 150 and 150. Let's see if that works right. X and Y of 150 and 150. Then we need our stickman bounding rectangle. We're going to say new rectangle, and it's going to be at position 150, 150, just like our stickman position, and it's 20 by 20. Okay, now that we have this, we can go ahead and draw the stick figure. So let's go down to the draw, and after this for loop, let's say sprite batch dot draw stickman texture, our stickman position, and then the color white for our transparency. Let's see if that works. So go ahead and click on start and see what happens. And it's still compiling. Here it is. And here's our stick figure. Let's make the stick figure a little bit higher so we can make some gravity to have it sink to the bottom. So first what I want to do is check the size of that stick figure. So I'm going to open up the file browser, right click on stick figure and click on properties. I want to see what the dimensions of that stick figure is. Let's see general, let's click advanced. No, that's not it. Let's click on it. It's 40 by 40. So instead of 20 by 20, we want to make it 40 by 40 right here. 40 by 40. Okay. And let's make it a little higher. So the y coordinate we want to make less. And let's run that and see what happens. And our stick figure is still in the same position. I guess I need to change the the stickman position as well. Let's run that. And it's higher. Now what we're going to do is have gravity affect the stickman. So it's going to make the stickman fall. So let's go to our update function. Here's update, and we just want to add a new line and say sprite man, sprite. It's called stick man position, and we want to affect the y coordinate, and we want to make the y coordinate increment by 1. It's gonna have a gravity of 1 pixel every time it updates. So you'll see the stickman slowly falling down the screen. Let's see what happens. Of course, the ground, he doesn't stop at the ground, so we'll have to do something about that. So just close this down. Now for the ground, what we're going to need to do is create an array of rectangles that can to test the bounding rectangle of the stickman. So let's go here and create a new rectangle array. Rectangle, it's an array. We're going to call it ground rectangles. And we're going to make it 10, an array of 10 rectangles. So go down here and let's see. We can just go down and copy this position right here. Copy this right here. So we want to copy it and paste it right up here. And then we want to say ground rectangle dot our sub I becomes new rectangle. We want to say position dot x comma position dot y comma, and these are, I believe they're 20 by 20. I'll check in the file explorer. So let's see, here's our brick. Let me right click on it and click properties, and yes, 20 by 20. So we have our bounding rectangles here. The one thing we need to do, though, is update the stickman's bounding rectangle. The rectangle that surrounds the... It's not shown, but it actually surrounds the picture of the stickman. So let's see. Stickman bounding rectangle dot y plus equals 1. So we'll be moving both the stickman's picture position and the bounding rectangle. So what we also need to do here is test to see if we hit the ground. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop through all the ground rectangle all the ground rectangles. Let's see, I less than 10, I becomes I plus 1. Missed an I there. And we're going to say if stickman bounding rectangle dot intersects, if it intersects with the ground, one of the ground rectangles, then we're going to do some logic here to stop the stickman. So we're going to say stickman position dot y. We're going to subtract that the 1 pixel of gravity from both the stickman bounding rectangle and the stickman position. Let's see if that works yet. No. Let's see what the error was. Oh, we need to cast these. It wants integers, but it's giving it floating points. So we'll just cast them to an integer. We're converting the floating point x and y in the position to integer x and y. Let's see what other errors we have. Cannot convert from rectangle to rectangle. Okay, let's see. Oh, we need to say sub I because it's a rectangle or an array. Let's try that again. No. Whoops. That should be over here on the array. Okay, so let's try it again. So if we click start, we see our stickman just fall to the ground and stop. Now let's see if we can make the stickman go to the left and right, but I'll leave that to the next video. Thanks for watching.